I mean, Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP? Or, like, we got the alternative team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I struck out 17, and, like, stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher, like, been a part of, like, 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Yes, sir.
Sure, I'm a little late, boys, at the spring game, obviously, as you can see. A couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's pit, cruise, grand salami to the boys, finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, I thought, my God, if Chica is offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day. Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Good Tuesday morning to you, live here from our Click Here Digital Campus on this Tuesday morning, built by RMB. Welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show. We appreciate you starting your day here with us. If you don't mind, give us a like, share, follow, subscription before you get out of here. We'll be with you until 9 a.m. Good Tuesday show coming at you. We're going to talk some Saints. Saints were off on Sunday. We'll talk to BROOKE KIRCHHOFER from New Orleans Football coming up here at 7:30 this morning. We'll get the latest on the Saints as they take on their rival, the Atlanta Falcons, this weekend. We will talk to Wilson Alexander, fresh off of his honeymoon, fresh off of his week away last week from football, and back on the beat this week as LSU is LSU is taking on Texas A&M. And we will also hear from Brian Kelly, who spoke with the media yesterday in his regular Monday spot. And Josh Pate is going to stop by here as we check in with Josh Pate from time to time, and always like to get the latest on what's happening from the national perspective, or at least the regional perspective. Really respect and enjoy Josh Pate's work. We'll talk to him coming up here, of course, from Late Kick Josh on YouTube that airs Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night, 7 o'clock. So he'll have a live show tonight coming at you where we will get the latest from Josh Pate coming up here at 8:30 this morning. So a really good show lined up for you coming up this morning here on the show. If you don't mind, hit the like button, share button, comment button, like we said, before we get started. And we'll let you hear from Brian Kelly to get off and get moving. Stewie is back in the chair this morning. Good to see Stewie off of a bumpy plane ride from the desert, Stewie. I hate flying. I can't stand flying. I don't understand how we're flying. I don't understand how this big bus is in the air.
They just pack everybody on this airplane, and it's just, all right, we're in the hands of this man.
Yeah, right. Everybody good? Buckle up. How was California?
It was good. It was good. Got to see some family that I haven't seen in probably since I was 5 or 6 years old. So it was cool.
Nice.
Very relaxed.
Yeah?
Very relaxed.
You watched the LSU game out there?
Yeah, about an hour away from where Jaden Daniels is actually from.
Nice.
So
he's from San Bernardino?
Yeah. So where I was at was like an hour up, like north.
Yeah, I mean, like he's heart of Los Angeles, right?
Well, kind of heart. Mm-hmm. Like it was like an outskirt town.
Sure.
Like
I mean, everything. I feel like everything's an outskirt.
Unless you live
LA.
like
unless you live like downtown. All right, so a couple of live press conferences yesterday. Kim Mulkey last night after LSU takes care of business. No Angel Reese for LSU. And she was not too forthcoming with why Angel Reese was not there. This is an internal issue that she said is being handled by the team, internally with the team, and expects Angel Reese to be back sooner rather than later. When she was pressed and asked whether or not Angel Reese would be with the team in the Cayman Islands, she said that she was not going to give that information up. A back and forth between her and Glenn Guilbeau last night. Then Rabelais was catching a couple of strays late in the press conference as he was asking for a little clarification on something, and then Mulkey pulled the room. All of this we have. I know Stewie's working on grabbing it, so we'll get it to you before we get out of here at 9 a.m. If you hadn't seen it, it was it was entertaining. And, look, Glenn's got a job. Glenn's asking the question. Glenn's asking the question that we all want to hear, right? Like, what's going on with Angel Reese? Has she been practicing? Was really what Glenn was going after. But we know, who Guilbeau is and kind of the reputation that he has. And you can see that Mulkey has been aware of his work and what he writes about, and saw him for the first time last night. And it was a pretty good back and forth when she said, identify yourself when Guilbeau got the microphone and he said, Glenn Guilbeau from out. Oh, you're Glenn. So you're Glenn. It's what she said when Guilbeau started in on his question. But like I said, credit Guilbeau for trying to that's the information that we all want to hear, right? I mean, you're curious whether or not Angel Reese has been practicing. You're curious on whether or not she's going to go to the Cayman Islands. I mean, things that I think that the public is curious about. Guilbeau was asking, but Kim was not having any of it. And I think this is something that is, whether it's Angel Reese or whether it's the last player on the bench, she's going to handle her issues on her team internally, and that's just going to be the way it is. And right now, she's at a standstill with the media on proving that. Where, look, you know what you see, right? You don't see Angel Reese, and you're right. Why you don't see Angel Reese is all up for speculation. One thing I can tell you that I know for sure is it's not grades. She is not being. When's the last time you saw anybody get penalized for grades in the middle of the semester? I mean, think about it. A little bit of, when you're really thinking about why Angel Reese is here, not on the team, it's not grades at all. I mean, I don't know what her grade point average is. I don't know what her schedule is, but nobody has ever been penalized for academics in the middle of the semester. I mean, usually that stuff happens either at Christmas when the grades come out, or you have an understanding of what's going on. It's not grades with Angel Reese. And Mulkey did actually, I thought, tell you a little bit about it last night. She said it was internal. It was a locker room issue. And think about it. She played the first half of the Kent State game. She didn't play the second half of the Kent State game, along with Kateri Poole. Nobody's talking about Kateri Poole in this. Kateri Poole's not playing as well, and she was in the same thing in the same timeline of Angel Reese has been with Poole. They both played the first half of the Kent State game. They went into the halftime at locker room there, and we hadn't seen them since. And they said it was a locker room issue. If I was just to guess, it sounded like something happened at halftime during that game. And when you came back out in the second half, they didn't play. And since then, they haven't been on the bench. And when she says last night it's a locker room issue, that's the puzzle that I put together. So we're not going to we're not going to speculate on when she's coming back. Mulkey's telling you how she's handling it. It's internal. She's handling it, and that's that. She says that she will, we will see Angel Reese or hope to see Angel Reese sooner rather than later. And, that's what it is. Hunter Fournette, Poole, and Reese swung on each other. I have no idea. I got no idea. I'm not.
Jeez,
I'm giving you what Mulkey's giving us. I'm just kind of putting the puzzle pieces together. But no, I would not say that they swung on each other. No, I don't think that anybody was fist fighting.
My man said they was fist fighting in the locker room at halftime against Kent State. Damn.
So, that's the last time we saw him.
Yeah.
Since then, we hadn't seen him. It's like. So,
a lot of alphas in
do we have the
room.
sound from Mulkey last night?
Is it Cobble, right?
It's pretty classic. Yeah, so Cobble's got a minute 19 cut, and this is where Rabelais gets caught in the wash. And this is almost, to me, it's like kind of like a Saturday Night Live scene because Rabelais got the mic, but she's going at Gilbo. And Rabelais kind of commentating in the background with the mic, and like Rabelais, very soft spoken, very, okay, it wasn't me, and it is so, because Gilbo is in the back, like answering, it's awesome.
This is comedy.
It's awesome.
Locker room issues. That's just part of coaching. In 40 years, I can never think of a time where I didn't have to deal with issues. That's what coaches do. Sometimes y'all know about them and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want to know more than you're entitled to know. I'm going to protect my players, always. They are more important. It's like a family, Scott. Let me ask you this. If you do some disciplining of your own children, do you think we're entitled to know that? That's a family in that locker room. That's a family. And it really doesn't matter what I say to you guys. You're going to write and interpret things the way you want to. Some of you wrote some things that I never said. I never used some of the words that y'all wrote. You interpreted it the way you wanted to. Just write what I tell you. But this is no different. I've been doing this for 40 years. Those kids are like my children. And I'm not going to tell you what you don't need to know. And that's just the way I address things.
So that's Mulkey last night on the scene and the situation right now going on with LSU basketball. Brett L. Jordy, you seem like you have a lot of inside information on LSU players, but strange you won't speculate on Reese. Did you just listen to the last 3 minutes? I just told you what I thought happened with Angel Reese. I don't understand what you're talking about. I just gave you my speculation on what happened with Angel Reese. I'm listening what Kim Mulkey is saying. I'm looking at what's going on, and it seems like to me something happened at the halftime at the break of the Kent State game, because since then we hadn't seen her. And she said last night it was a locker room issue. She said it's an internal issue that they're handling. I mean, that's the speculation, Brett. Remember Daily, we're brought to you by Bespoke Suits, Pierce Bespoke Suits. Get in touch with my friend Grayson Augustus and his team over at Pierce Bespoke and let them take care of you today. Custom design suits that you can get into as it is a easy process over at Pierce Bespoke. It's a mobile tailor service headquartered here in Baton Rouge. They host trunk shows around the country. They're local with law firms, casinos, university, high-end hotels, whiskey lounges, cigar bars, and more. You can check them out online at piercebespoke.com. They have an Instagram page. If you mention the show, they'll take $200 off of your first custom fit. They take measurements from the neck down, offer thousands of fabrics for you to choose from. 3 to 4 weeks, they'll have it turned around for you. I just went through the process, wore a suit 2 weeks ago to a wedding. Great fit, comfortable, easy to work with. Get in touch with Grayson Augustus and his team over at piercebespoke.com. Mention the show and save $200. All right, Brian Kelly was speaking with the media yesterday as well, and Kelly had some updates on everything from this week with guys like Logan Diggs to Whit Weeks, who he was asked about specifically yesterday. He also gave some information on Weeks that not a lot of people were aware of, with Weeks being injured and having a slice on his foot that had been stitched up. Here's Kelly. This is 8, Stewie, of him talking about his freshman linebacker, Whit Weeks, who has been out of action for the last 3 games.
Whit Weeks been in terms of?
He's been injured. Yeah, he's been injured. He had an accident that left a nasty gash in his foot, and he wasn't able to play at the highest level. We could probably got him in the Georgia State game. That was my decision not to play him. I did not want to, put him in a game where, he pops 2 or 3 of those stitches, and then we didn't have him for A&M. We're going to need him this weekend.
Could he have another year?
Sure.
Gash on his foot.
The old gash on the foot, huh?
Foot gash.
I remember Brian Kelly at the beginning of the year coming to the podium and saying, look, this year's going to be different. I'm going to tell you about injuries. I'm going to be forthright. I'm going to be honest. In fact, there's going to be situations and scenarios where you guys don't even have to ask me about an injury. I'm just going to give you an update. So Whit Weeks has not been playing for the last 3 weeks because he's had a gash on his foot? Call me crazy. I ain't buying it. I don't believe it. He might have had a gash on his foot last weekend, kept him out of action. I believe that. But for the last month, him not being there, all right. Look, man, it's. We talked about it yesterday.
Strange.
It is what it is. For whatever reason, this defensive staff has not played the best players. That's a reputation that they have in recruiting. That's a reputation that they have in their own locker room. That's a reputation that they have with former coaches. That's a reputation that they have with high school coaches. That's a reputation that they have going around. That's not just this show screaming and saying that stuff. That's stuff that they're saying that is obvious. And Whit Weeks is a great example of that. Javian Taviano is a great example of that. Braden Swinson is a great example of that. Deshaun Walmack is a great example of that. Early in the year when Denver Harris was accessible to the team, he's a great example of that. There's lists and examples that are miles long. Whatever the explanation is on Whit Weeks is fine. The fact of the matter is it sounds like he's going to play this weekend, which finally, good. Get him out there. That gives you the best chance to win, right? And, whatever the scenario, whatever the reason why he hasn't played in weeks leading up to last week is, we can speculate. We can call it for what it is, but not one time have you heard Whit Weeks on an injury report. Not one time has anybody been told about any type of foot injury or anything going on with Whit Weeks, and people have been asked of where he's been. And I know after talking to numerous people that there is pushback inside of the defensive room of why these guys aren't playing. Why is the best guys not playing? And, people can call it for what it is on this show starting or just saying it here. That's the stuff that's happening with the team. That's the stuff that's happening with recruits. That's the stuff that's happening with potential recruits, coaches, or people's handlers that are looking at LSU defensively and wondering if they go there, are they not going to play? Are they going to play Ovie Ogofu over Braden Swinson like they do now when Swinson's the better player? Are they going to play Omar Spates over Whit Weeks when Whit Weeks is the better player? Are they going to play and continue to play and not give reps early in the season to a guy like Javian Taviano and have him better prepared for later in the year when he should have been playing? I mean, those are questions that are being asked in living rooms, in recruits' houses, in on-campus visits. It's being asked by players that are on the team right now to the coaching staff. All that stuff is being talked about internally. We're not just making that stuff up. You know what I mean? Like, we're not just trying to create something.
And you watch it every Saturday. You don't think the players say something about that? You don't think you think they just sit in the locker room and say, you think Braden Swinson is watching Ovie Ogofu every weekend saying, I'm not better than him? Like, that's normal competitive spirit. Like, I wouldn't think these kids would be at LSU if they didn't have that competitiveness to them, that edge to them to say, Coach, I'm better than him. If you want to see, put me out there.
We'll see. I expect major overhaul and changes to be made for part of that reason. And I expect those changes to be made as early as the regular season ending. I mean, it could happen Sunday. It could happen next week. It could happen very, very soon because of the attention that the defensive side of the ball needs to see for LSU to be competitive, right? Brian Kelly has called out year 3 for himself since he stepped onto the job. On Sunday, he's staring year 3 in the face, right? You're looking at year 3 come Sunday when your regular season of year 2 is behind you. And all you have is the postseason, which is going to be a game, recruiting, and next thing you know, you're into year 3. And he understands that what's happening on the defensive side of the ball, it's not championship level. It's not championship level inside the living room. It's not championship level on the practice field. It's not championship level on Saturdays. And to get there, he's got to make major changes. And I expect that to happen. I mean, really, to get to that point. I mean, we can sit here and debate Whit Weeks all we want, whether or not hurt, why wasn't playing. Fact of the matter is there's a reputation growing on the LSU defensive staff that they don't play the best players and they don't have them prepared to play, and that's an issue.
It's too many Whit Weeks examples. You got Braden Swinson, you got Deshaun Womack, Javion Toviano, like it's Terrence Welch. Like, it's too many examples out there to say, like, it's just one person.
Here's more from Brian Kelly yesterday. Let's just go down the list here, Stewie. This is one. This is him previewing the day, previewing the week, and looking ahead to Texas A&M.
I will take a look back at this weekend, seeing Wilson wasn't here on another historic evening in Tiger Stadium. 8 touchdowns. I'll say this. First of all, from a team perspective, I was really happy with how our team played up to their standard. Those are difficult games. We saw across college football how some teams, really struggled to play up to their standard. When you step out of the SEC, I think, our football team did a really good job against a team that, is difficult to play against. Georgia State has got a good football team. They're well coached. They're bowl eligible. They're going to win games. So pleased with, the overall performance. And, again, an incredible evening for Jaden Daniels and the wide receivers. Obviously We know about what he did, tying Joe Burrow's record for 8 touchdowns. He was named the SEC Player of the Week again. I think that's for the 5th time this year that he's won that weekly award. Again, number 1 in the nation in a number of categories. He continues to play at an incredibly elite level and the best player in college football. So great weekend leading into, our last home game. And it's we want to be able to honor our seniors in this game and certainly playing an outstanding football team in Texas A&M. A team that is ultimately talented on both sides of the ball, skilled players, outstanding defense, ranked as one of the best defenses in the SEC. I think it's leading in total defense, number 1 in rush defense, outstanding defensive line. I think one of the best, if not the best, linebacker in Cooper. This will be a great challenge for our offense, and then certainly for our defense with their skilled players and our ability to certainly play, a complete 4 quarters of football. So should be an exciting matchup. They always are. It's a game that, certainly our last home game in Tiger Stadium. We're looking forward to the challenge, and it should be a great football game. So with that, we'll open it up to questions.
One of the things that really, we have to focus on this week, and we will. We'll dive into it with Pate coming up here in the second hour, and we'll talk to Billy Lucci at some point this week and talk more from an SEC perspective. But just the challenge that this LSU offense has going up against this A&M defense. This will be the best defense that LSU's faced all season long when you look at it on paper, especially when you talk about the depth of the defensive line and really the back end. This defensive backfield is a talented group that's going to be a really nice matchup for the best offense, the best wide receiver class, the best wide receiver core in the country. And then they've got the best linebacker in Edgerrin Cooper, who's out of Covington High School, who's been playing the middle for them and has been playing at an extremely high level all season long. This is going to be a defense that LSU is going to have to close out on a very high level against. And then, look, you're also talking about award season, and LSU's right in the middle of it. LSU is up for a ton of awards, especially on offense. They're finalists for the Joe Moore Award. They've got 2 wide receivers in the Biletnikoff Award. They've got a quarterback that's in every relevant race that's out there for a big-time trophy in college football, whether it's the Davey O'Brien to the Manning Award to the Heisman Trophy, everything, Walter Camp, everything that means something and that is a huge award in college football offensively, Daniels is up for, or some form of this offense is up for. Best offensive line, best wide receivers, 2 of them in the class of the Biletnikoff finalists that were named yesterday. So, LSU is definitely, look, they're politicking right now. They are going up against an extremely tough and big challenge against A&M on Saturday, and they need to have one of these typical Saturday performances that they've been putting out over the last 7-8 weeks, where you're putting up 400, 500, 600 yards of total offense. Everybody's eating, everybody's touching, everybody's scoring, everybody's getting theirs. Because one advantage that, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, guys like that are going to have is that they play an extra week of football. And not only do they play an extra week, you don't. So everybody's going to be looking at them, and it's, we live in this world of what did I see last? What's the last thing I saw? And, the last thing that you need to see from Jaden Daniels and this LSU offense is them chopping up a really good, deep, playmaking type of defense in Texas A&M. So, this is on paper and really in the buildup, this is the most talented group that LSU has faced defensively. Not to say that I expect them to stagger this offense, because everything, one thing that Brian Kelly has pointed out over the last couple of days is that they've seen everything now defensively. There is nothing that they can see or be thrown at them that, is going to be like, wow, what's this? People have dropped 8. They've played trap coverage. They've played man. They've played zone. They've played, you spied him. You've done everything. He's the SEC Player of the Week for 8 weeks out of the. I mean, you're going into the last week. He's won 8 times. I mean, like, he's better than you. You know, I mean, he's just better than everybody. Talking about Daniels. So, you know, I mean, one thing that we, you know, this week has to, you know, I mean, every week it seemed like, you know, you just kind of check off the offense is going to get theirs. They're going to eat. And why wouldn't you, right? I mean, they've done it consistently every week. But this one, it's going to be a challenge for, I mean, the offensive line. In fact, here's Kelly yesterday talking about the challenge that this defensive line is going to prevent to LSU up front.
For your offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that. First of all, there's depth on the defensive line. You know, physically gifted athletes at all levels, you know, inside and out, you know, and they have versatility. Their defensive linemen can play anything from a 0 technique to a 5 technique. Great versatility, great athleticism. As I mentioned, Cooper's all over the field. You got to know where he is. You know, and that's the strength of their Texas A&M defense is the versatility, the depth that they play on the defensive line. They, you know, and they're aggressive. You know, Coach is an aggressive defensive play caller. They mix things up very well, especially their third down packages. You know, you've got to be on your toes. You certainly have to do a really good job in protections and protecting the quarterback. And, you know, you've got to be able to find a way to, you know, mitigate some of the potential.
More from Kelly speaking about this A&M defense. I believe this was Jacques asking him, and he asked him directly, is this the best defense you faced all year?
This year?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, in terms of their versatility, in terms of what they do, yes, this is the best defense.
Kelly also speaking about senior day and some of the guys that he's going to have the opportunity to possibly recruit back to the program. Kyron Lacey's name came up yesterday, and I think Lacey's sitting in a spot really that makes a ton of sense for him to return. Obviously, over the last couple of weeks, he's become more of a threat of a pass catcher. I think physically and from a blocking standpoint, he checks every single box that an NFL draft pick would need. He needs to consistently catch the ball and, you know, refine his route running that, you know, Cortez Hankton has really proven that if you can stay in his system for as however long you need, you can be developed and be a pro. You know, but Kelly, here he is speaking about some of the seniors that are going to be honored this week and really what seniors, what senior day is now. This is 2, Stewie, of Kelly yesterday speaking with the press.
Yeah, I got to start with, you know, the first meeting, you know, with these guys in terms of, you know, their commitment to our process and building a foundation for this football team. There haven't been many opportunities for me to thank them. These are the opportunities that you get a chance to thank those guys that have helped build the foundation for our football program. So this will be that opportunity that I get.
More from Kelly. Here he is speaking about the senior class and what it goes in to recruiting. This is 7 of guys like Josh Williams and Kyron Lacey.
Could he have another year?
Sure.
Do you have some guys like that?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and each year, you know, we go through this process where, you know, you could have a couple senior days. You know, it's one of those kind of situations where, you know, we're really working off of their academic calendar, not necessarily their eligibility calendar. So we want to be able to honor them off of their academic calendar and what they've done in the classroom. And so there is that opportunity that somebody could come back because we're still dealing with the COVID year as that additional year of eligibility. So like other stops that I've had along the way, I've had multiple pictures on senior day with players, and this could be the case as well.
So LSU going to be in a spot here. The transfer portal opens up, what, 2 weeks? I mean, you're about to start to see a lot of roster shifting around. You're about to start to see a lot of roster management starting to pop up in college football with recruiting early signing period. the opening window of the transfer portal here for that early window with rosters and what's going to happen here with some of the guys that they're going to recruit back. I know that Mekhi Wingo's name came up yesterday and specifically about what the plan is or what the opportunity is for Wingo. Obviously, from LSU standpoint, you would absolutely love to get a guy like Wingo back, right? You're talking about a leader. You're talking about a guy who has been in the program and really just done everything that you have asked him to do at such a high, successful level that you need guys like that. And then you strap it up on Saturday and you realize, man, this guy's one of the top players in the conference, in the league. The thing about Wingo coming back, I really see the advantage for a guy like Kyron Lacy coming back. I really see the advantage for a guy like Mason Smith coming back. But for a guy like Mekhi Wingo, how much more can he accomplish, right? Like, how much more can he really show that he can do to an NFL scout? If I'm an NFL scout, I feel like after watching him 2 years play at a high level in the SEC, I know who he is. Right? I mean, I know his size limitation. I know his motor. I know his skill set. I know what he does well, and I know what he doesn't do well. In 1 year of playing another 15 games of college football, 13 to 15 games of college football, he's not going to be able to show you a lot more. Right? So if you're just looking at Wingo, to me, it would probably point towards he's gone. For a guy like Mason Smith, for a guy like Kyron Lacy, I think you can legitimately look at both of those guys and say, hey, you could leave this year and you'd probably be drafted. Both of you. Second, third day guys. You know, Mason Smith, because of the potential, would probably be a second day guy. Kyron Lacy, because of, you know, he checks some physical boxes, you would probably think that he'd be a third or fourth day guy. But if both of them came back, they could improve their draft stock by 2 days at least, right? You would think that Mason Smith could, without question, work himself up into a first day pick, and Kyron Lacy could possibly work himself up into a second or third day pick by coming back. I mean, Lacy has a chance to be now the top target on an offense at LSU that's going to have a ton of attention next year, good, bad, or indifferent, whether it's right or wrong. They're going to have a ton of attention. They could be losing the Heisman Trophy winner. They could be losing the Bolitnikoff. They could be losing 2 first-round wide receivers. They're going to have a lot of attention, right? Except for the offensive line.
Yeah.
But if Kyron Lacy is a guy that's got experience on these teams, and then he becomes the man, and you've got guys playing alongside him like, you know, Shelton Sampson and Jaylen Brown and Kai Preon and Kyle Parker. I mean, you know, guys that are coming up through the system, then he's got to be the leader of the bunch. And for Mason Smith, I mean, it gives him an opportunity to play a full calendar year in football shape. Right? I mean, you can see that he's gotten better over the last couple of weeks. I don't think that we can deny that, right?
Was that his first sack Saturday?
No, I think he had one 2 weeks ago. But I mean, he's active. Mm-hmm. He's around the football. He looks more in shape.
Moving the pocket.
Yeah, I mean, like he's improving. He's getting better. I mean, if you were able to put down 13 to 15 games at that level, I think a lot more people would trust you at the next level, and you could make a lot more money. And if you're LSU, I mean, that's kind of your sales pitch. But I think that there are guys that make sense to come back, improve draft stock, and, you know, get an opportunity to make more money their senior year or you know, for another year. But there are also guys that, you know, probably makes the best sense that they've tapped out. I mean, they've hit their ceiling. Logan Diggs, right? I mean, like, if Logan Diggs, what could he really prove in college? You know, I mean, in a lifespan and at a position that can Diggs come back?
He might have a COVID year.
But, you know, just players that are in that types of situation. All right, we're going to talk to Brooke Kirchhofer coming up here in a couple of minutes as we will get the latest on what's going on with the Saints, what's happening down in New Orleans as they prepare for the Atlanta Falcons. and coming off of the bye week. Obviously, that was a brutal way to go into the bye. What's the latest on the quarterback situation with Carr and Winston? What's the latest on the health with the New Orleans Saints? So we will get down to the bottom of that. I think I screwed that up with Logan Diggs. I don't think he can come back.
This is last year?
Yeah, this is last year. But, like Mason Smith and Kyron Lacey would be, the best examples that I could give for that, of guys that you could recruit back, they could make more money, and they could really see a benefit.
He's a junior.
Logan Diggs?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But, if he's you got to look at I'm looking at the running back room. Right? You got to share carries again, which is not a bad thing for a running back. You keep some tread on the tire.
Yeah.
But, at a position where the lifespan is short to begin with, rather than taking those hits on Saturdays and not getting paid as much as you can be making on Sundays and putting that towards your career. I just think that it's something to pay attention to. And they're in recruiting season now. And it's not just recruiting the roster from a high school standpoint. It's recruiting the roster of guys that you're looking to retain. You need roster retention during this point. So, it'd be something to watch. Remember Daily, we're brought to you by Go Roof, online, GEAUXroof.com. Roof's up with our friends over at Go Roof. Let them hop up on the roof with you today, diagnose a problem if you have it, and if so, they'll work directly with the insurance company, take the headache out of it, and get you all lined up with a brand new roof. 225-927-8300, 225-927-8300. A beautiful roof every single time. Residential roofing, commercial roofing, roofing repairs, all available for you over at Go Roof. GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com, 225-927-8300. Free quotes available today. Free and quick roof inspections. They got over 15 years of experience. They're licensed and insured and been proudly supporting our community since before 2005. Online, GEAUXroof.com or 225-927-8300. A beautiful roof every single time, and Roof's Up with our friends over at Go Roof. We're back with Brooke Kirchhofer here from New Orleans.football, talking Saints next here on the Jordy Culotta Show.
They said I need the soul searching, I already found it. I ain't like my other side, now I'm sounding astounded. Drive by and let it ride like a whip in a Tesla. Pressure never fazed me, cause I'm bigger than pressure.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, roof up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Well, the Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
I'm Tom Granick with Go Martin, Wardo's Po' Boys in Natchez, Mississippi. On behalf of the Granick family, we invite you to run, walk, or stroll in the second annual Rudolph Roll. Held on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, this holiday event will kick off at 8 a.m. on December 9th and will include a 10K, 5K, and 1 mile kids fun run. Along with the race, there will be live music, drinks, and of course, Po' Boys. We're looking forward to an even bigger party this year. For more information, please check out the link on Wardo's Facebook page or scan the QR code. Hope to see y'all there.
I'm on my grind, bullshit, can't fit on my schedule. I'ma do what's best with me, you can keep all your lectures. Spend the summer stacking bread, might be gone to November. Pulling up like Trey Young just to freeze up December. I got niggas on the blood like traditional sinners. OGs love me, so I hang with traditional winners. I took a break for a minute, I had to go charge up. Had to focus on my business, I'm coming back smarter. Hit up DJ, tell him go like I'm dropping the Carter. Coming back like KD, it's time to go harder. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing, can't let you slow up. Bounce back, can't let you fold up. Keep pushing.
Back here, Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by our friends over at R&B Builders. Check out Rhett and his crew online at rnb-builders.com. Rhett Bourgeois, R&B Builders on Instagram as well. Speaking of Instagram, you can get over and follow our friends, no.football, neworleans.football, to keep up with the best team out there covering the Saints. I mean, it is an army of reporters, YouTube, online. You can find them anywhere. neworleans.football covering the Saints. And the Saints 5-5 right now. Actually sit in first place in the NFC South, to give you an idea of just how bad the division is this year. And this weekend, picking it back up off of the bye, as they'll be in Atlanta taking on the rival coming up later this week. Here to help us out with it is our favorite, Brooke Kirchhofer from neworleans.football, rocking some of that gear this morning that you can check out online at neworleans.football, on social media at Brooke Chesney. Brooke, good morning. How are you? One second. It's our fault. We're going to get this cleared up for you. Brooke, you there?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you. Go loud and clear. All right, so I know last week was the bye week for the Saints, and look, you don't want to go into a bye week with the way that they did in losing. What was the point of emphasis last week for them in trying to get back right here for the second half push?
Yeah, the Saints have a lot of things to clean up in all three phases of the game. It's something that Dennis Allen highlighted right off the bat Monday with his press conference. Of course, we will hear from quarterback Derek Carr this Wednesday. It'll be interesting to hear what his focus was for the bye week and what he wanted to work on. Look, the Saints have an opportunity to finish the season out in first place. They have an opportunity to just leave the last 10 games behind and essentially have a clean slate for these next 7 games because they have not faced a divisional opponent yet. They will go to Atlanta and take on the Falcons for the first time this year. I believe the Saints swept the Falcons last year. They have an opportunity to finish out the season strong this year, which a lot of teams don't have this far into the season. The fact that the Saints can maybe put away some of the issues we saw at the beginning of the season is unique in this way, and because they haven't faced the Falcons just yet. They faced Carolina, they have faced the Bucs, which we know they lost to the Bucs. They beat the Panthers on the road. They will now get the Panthers at home and then get the Bucs on the road, and then of course the 2 games against the Atlanta Falcons. But it's interesting that no real changes were made during the bye week as far as coaching changes. This comes right after this just came out. The Steelers just fired their offensive coordinator. So now you have the Raiders, the Bills, as well as the Steelers making some coaching changes. People are still wondering why the Saints did not make any changes, at least during the bye week, or are not making any in-season coaching changes as far as with their offensive coordinator. I don't think it's going to happen before the season ends. So for Saints fans that are wondering that, I don't see any coaching changes being made during the season unless they completely bomb the next 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, a couple of former LSU guys in the mix there of the offensive coordinator changes. Matt Canada out in Pittsburgh and Joe Brady given the play call and duties in Buffalo. And look, they put up 37 points. I know it was against a Jets defense on Sunday, but they looked like they at least had some life in them. It looked like it was a shot and a boost to the arm for them. Okay, one thing that seemed to deflate going into the bye was losing Marshawn Lattimore and Michael Thomas. What does that do on each side of the ball? How do they navigate that?
You lose 2 of your best players on both sides of the ball. Marshawn Lattimore is arguably the best player right now on the Saints team. He is going to be down, it looks like, for several weeks. We do not have a firm timeline yet on Marshawn Lattimore, but he will not be available this week in Atlanta against the Falcons. The good news is the Saints do have a lot of depth in the secondary. We have seen guys step up like an Isaac Yiadom. I would expect to see him starting opposite of Paulson Adebo, and then they'll keep Alontae Taylor there in the slot corner. But when they are just in their base package, I do expect to see Alontae Taylor and Paulson Adebo both on the outside, and they'll kind of interchange Isaac Yiadom in and out when they're in nickel or dime. And we've seen Lonnie Johnson. Sorry, Rue wants to make an appearance here.
Yeah, let him in.
We've seen Lonnie Johnson step up, and really surprising that Lonnie Johnson kind of took Jordan Howden's starting spot. To me, I thought Jordan Howden was coming along just fine in his rookie year and was able to do enough for the Saints to have success when he was in, specifically with Marcus May out. So they do have enough depth on the defensive side of the ball. The real issue is on the offensive side of the ball, and that is why the Saints tried out several wide receivers this week. Marquez Callaway was back in the locker room, and if you remember back during the 2021 season when Michael Thomas was out, Marquez Callaway filled that role for Michael Thomas. I'm imagining they're envisioning that same thing this week, but you had a different quarterback in that year. So look, we'll see what Derek Carr does with a new wide receiver in that role. We're also not sure what Michael Thomas's status is right now. We do know that he will be out potentially for the Atlanta Falcons game, but we don't really know what's going on structurally with that leg injury. They do believe it's a knee. Now, the big question is, what is the knee injury? Because as we know, it can either be a 3-week or it can be the rest of the season type of knee injury.
This weekend, Brooke, the matchup obviously is going to be Saints defense against this offensive attack led by Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier for Atlanta, this rushing attack. How do you like New Orleans in the matchup in the rush defense versus this Atlanta offense?
So if I was looking at just the beginning of the season and what Bijan Robinson was capable of doing, I would have thought, man, the Saints are going to have a really hard time. But if you look at some of his numbers, last week he 10 carries for 56 yards. Now the week before that against Green Bay, he had 124 rushing yards. And last week was against the Carolina Panthers. So I expect the Saints to be able to at least slow down Bijan Robinson, but the Saints have struggled against the run. The good news is they know they are facing Desmond Ridder instead of Taylor Heineke, who, as we know, is more of the mobile quarterback than Desmond Ridder is. But when you look at some of the stats, and Taylor Heineke specifically in this Falcons offense, he did not run the ball as much as he did with the Commanders. So it's the system that they're in Atlanta. It would be great for the Saints if Desmond Ridder was pass first this week. That's what we expect to see from that quarterback. But he is somebody that took a confidence hit. He got benched. And the only reason why he is not playing this week is because Taylor Heineke suffered a hamstring injury. So it's a good thing for the Saints that they're getting Desmond Ridder, but as we have seen this year, the Saints do a really good job of making non-mobile quarterbacks look mobile. Can they eventually figure it out? I can't sit here and tell you that I believe it will be figured out this weekend, because we believed it was going to look better against Josh Dobbs. And you saw Josh Dobbs run all over the Saints defense. They were not able to get pressure to him. When they did, he ran all over them and was able to escape the pocket. The Saints have a really, really tough task this weekend with the Atlanta Falcons. Make no mistake about that. But Bijan Robinson didn't put up the numbers he was at the beginning of the season. He's kind of been inconsistent throughout. The one thing that the Falcons do have is, I've been calling them the New Orleans Falcons all week because, of course, the guy in the front office, you have Ryan Nielsen as your new DC, you have David Onyemata, you have Caden Ellis, as well as a backup D lineman that is also there in Atlanta that used to play for the Saints. So that is going to be the big issue for this New Orleans offense. Is Ryan Nielsen is going to get this defense prepared to see every single look, and that might skew things a little bit for the Saints.
Do you expect a leash on Carr after we've seen the last couple of games? And Winston, like you and I talked last week, I mean, I know it's not ideal him being out there, but it feels like you have more of a shot.
Yeah, look, if Derek Carr has been on a leash, please take him off of it. I want to see this guy take more deep shots. And we were talking about it last week on our show. We talked so highly of Chris Olave in training camp of this is a guy who put on weight, who wanted to get better at contested catches. Derek Carr's not really giving him a whole lot of opportunities to do that throughout the flow of the game. I don't know if that's a precision thing, him able to put the ball where it needs to be in those 50-50 situations, or when there's tight coverage. I don't know what it is. There's so many frustrations right now with Derek Carr. It's either that he's throwing the deep ball out of frustration. I never see him throw the deep ball in a flow of a game that's not out of desperation. And then sometimes we just see the missed reads and things like that. And guys wide open. Rashid Shaheed, again, was wide open several times in Minnesota. So Derek Carr, I hope he spent this bye week kind of reviewing the tape. I'm sure he did, to try and get back on track and figure out how he can work with these wide receivers who are now down Michael Thomas. They're likely going to have to be bringing in another guy, whether that's A.T. Perry or Marquez Callaway filling that role for Michael Thomas. But you still have Rashid Shaheed, you still have Chris Olave, you still have Taysom Hill, Jawan Johnson. I'd like to see them utilize tight ends a little bit more, because Derek Carr has kind of blanketed the tight ends this year as more of the guys that help with the offensive line and pass protection and not necessarily catching passes, which when you go out and you get a Foster Moreau, you go out and get a Jimmy Graham, Jawan Johnson's at the height of his game, and we just have not been able to see them be productive this season. They have to somehow figure out how to get these guys involved. And I think a lot of that goes back to Derek Carr is new in this system. I don't know if his confidence is there yet on the field. He sounds confident in press conferences and things like that, but he did go through some waves a couple weeks ago with the wide receivers. Are they back on the same page? Do they like playing with each other? These are all things that if you're on the team and in the locker room, you know these things, but it's just been so frustrating watching this offense who has so much talent and they're just not utilizing it. They have been able to fix the red zone numbers as of late, but can they be consistent? That's the one thing we talk about week after week, is can this offense be consistent in specific areas that they've improved on the week prior? We haven't necessarily seen that yet, and see them continue to put together 4 quarters. That's going to be the biggest thing for the Saints this week.
Big time opportunity this Sunday in Atlanta. If they can get this first division win over the Falcons and take this series for the season, they got a real opportunity to win the league, to win the division. Brooke, good stuff as always. Tell Rue what's up. We'll talk to you next Tuesday. Safe travels. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
There she is, Brooke Kirchhofer, checking in this morning from New Orleans.football. Simply the best when you're talking about the Saints coverage over at New Orleans.football. Underhill, Triplet, Brooke, they do a great job. You can follow them on social media at NOF Network, or if you want to follow Brooke and the crew, follow Brooke. She's at Brooke Chesney on social media. She's with us every Tuesday, and we appreciate her and the information. Brought to you by Katie's Restaurant down in New Orleans. Remember our friends over at Katie's, located on Iberville Street. Speaking of NFL action, the Saints are away from the Dome this week, so if you're looking for a place to check out the game, Katie's has 6 new televisions that they installed before the season, and they got new Sunday hours for you, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m., where you can stop in and check them out. Located on Iberville Street, some of New Orleans' favorites, been around since the early 80s. Scott Craig has done an incredible job of really just kind of bringing the feel, the sense, the touch, the smells of New Orleans into a restaurant, and gives it all to you over on Iberville Street. A part of Katie's Restaurant. They have a sister restaurant named Francesca's located in Lakeview that you can learn about online. Katie'sInMidCity.com. Katie'sInMidCity.com is where they're located online. Stop in and see them there. And we appreciate our partnership with our friends down in New Orleans at Katie's. Stop in and see them and tell them you heard it right here on the show. Good stuff from Brooke. We'll talk to Wilson coming up here in about 10 minutes. Looking forward to catching back up with Wilson. We missed our time with him away last week. Obviously, Coach Brian Kelly did, as he led off the press conference with a little note to Wilson, giving him a little update because he had missed last week. So we will look to catch up with Wilson. We'll ask him if he knew about Whit Weeks' sliced foot over the last month. Nobody more plugged into the LSU football program writing about them than Wilson Alexander.
Sliced
so
foot.
If anybody knew, I guarantee you Wilson did. We'll ask him his knowledge of Footgate coming up here at 8:15 this morning. Then at 8:30 we'll get a little bit more of a conference perspective, more of a national perspective, as Josh Pate will be here talking at 8:30 this morning. Huge one on the field in rivalry weekend with Michigan and Ohio State. Obviously going to be the headliner, but you've got games all over the place that we will talk and feature coming up over here with Pate and the show.
Harbaugh accepted his 3-game suspension.
They spun pretty quick off of that. I mean, 2 weeks, a week and a half ago, it was committees, judges, appeal processes. Wait till you hear what we have. 2 days later, they're firing people, accepting the repercussions and penalties, and saying, "Look, we just want this thing to go away. Just shuffle this thing down the road.
Grab
if you
that
don't
rug
mind."
right there and sweep
Right.
that under there.
Grab that broom if you don't mind for us. You're gonna sweep this thing. Somebody did something. That line. It sounds like that linebackers coach got rid of evidence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that he tried to get rid of some stuff. That's
Sure,
why
the Stallion still has the manifesto somewhere in the hard drives.
Big Harbaugh guy. They love Harbaugh.
I mean,
the guy was. Sherm was nearly crying in the post game.
Coach, you was.
This is for you, Coach. I'm like,
I
for
love
God's
you.
sakes,
They
man.
act like he's dead.
Tighten up.
Bro.
I mean,
he's not dead. He's gonna coach.
watching at the hotel down the street.
He's probably watching.
And I'm sure they've probably got something where he's plugged in with some walkie-talkie. He's probably coaching the game.
Yeah, for sure. Somehow, some way.
Got him on a TV circuit at halftime, addressing the team,
Sitting outside in a
like
white
a
van.
quality inn,
like a FBI van, just bunch of TV screens,
glasses, hat,
still got the
double
cleats.
button, whistle on,
Still got the cleats on.
pin in the pocket. I mean,
They're about to run the draw right here. Right here. The draw's coming.
call a timeout. Damn it! Get JJ on the headset.
We talk to JJ real quick. I almost predicted JJ McCarthy's stat line Saturday. They're still pushing for him to win the Heisman.
What'd you predict? 60 yards?
I said 12.
The Heisman talk of these people is disgusting.
What did I say? It was I think I said 12 for 17, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he was like 12 for 15.
Did he throw it 15 times?
Let's see.
What about the scene of Darude at William Bryce Stadium at South Carolina? Did you see that? You know, the dude that the guy that the artist of Sandstorm.
Mm-hmm.
He was at South Carolina on Saturday night, playing it for the.
Oh God, that was.
The guy you can tell knows nothing about football, but he was just like, this is unbelievable.
I've never
this is
experienced
amazing.
something like this. 12 for 23 with 141 yards and 1 interception.
Whoever was talking about him for a Heisman candidate should be fired. or you should at the very least rescind the vote.
Lose your credibility.
Like, you should take that vote away from anybody who was saying that J.J. McCarthy was a legitimate threat to win the Heisman Trophy at any point this season, because that's what he's been doing all year. 150 yards.
Coach.
I mean, they got junior high quarterbacks in the area throwing for 300 around here. I mean, I'm serious. I know for it.
Oh, I said he was going to be 10 for 15, 176 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was 12 for 23 with 141 yards.
Ugh.
And an interception.
I mean, is that Anthony Jennings or J.J. McCarthy?
Play the same.
I mean, that sounds like LSU in 2014.
And the running backs are just keep rolling them in.
Yeah.
Keep rolling them in.
Well, I mean, they're so physical up front.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if one thing that Harbaugh's teams have always had, from San Diego to Stanford to the 49ers to Michigan, is that
physicality.
They are physical, man. They are, and they're physical, up front in the trenches, and
even like defensive backs, safeties, like everybody's physical. Like
they play with a mindset.
Exactly.
I mean, they play with a mentality of they're going to be the most physical team. I mean, it's a lot like those SEC teams are built and how they play.
Big Ten plays like old SEC. Like real
rugged.
Game's going to be 24.
Slow it down,
31.
take the air out of it.
Yeah. Watching Iowa these days, taking the air all the way out of it.
Iowa's defense, though.
It's so good.
They're
it is
so good. I was watching them on Saturday. I'm like, damn, look at this defense.
They fly.
They fly around.
Like, at every level.
Physical, too. I mean.
And it's just like they get
it's
the
a
ball
bunch of Iowa kids. Like, it's not like they're.
Iowa's a different place, Coach.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, it must be. I mean, I'm not claiming that I know anything about Iowa, but I mean, I definitely didn't know that they were producing players like that, like skill players like that. I mean,
the Cooper DJing kid is probably going to be a first rounder. He got
should
hurt,
be.
Though. He's hurt, though.
Yeah, he is. He is hurt. But I mean, like, he should be legitimately. Like, he's
a stud.
He's a player.
It's just Iowa football.
I mean, an offense, Coach, that is just
nepotism.
It is. I mean, Ferentz is going to have to look back on that at some point, like over the next decade, and be like, man, I cost myself a lot. If I'd have just gone out and paid anybody, like, I mean, gone and got like some lower level NFL wide receivers coach, go get a running backs coach. I mean, go get Caskey. I mean, go get somebody that like just knows it, been around it. Like, dude, don't hire your son. You know what I mean? Like, just get anybody but your son. And the whole thing about it is like his son is a really solid, like, reputable offensive line coach.
Yeah.
Like, and when Iowa was putting those offensive linemen and those tight ends into the league, I mean, he was the guy that was coaching them. And then they went to like a co-coordinator thing, and then he took over the coordinator, and then Kirk Ferentz just became very bullheaded on it.
It's like, look, that's my son. I'm not firing him.
Where it's like, dude, just make him the offensive line coach. Go get a play caller. I mean, and just win. Like, you could be in the playoff.
Coach, all you got to do is score 24 points a game. Maybe 20.
With that defense in the Big Ten.
That's what I'm saying. 24 points a game, maybe. 21 and a half.
It would be maddening to be an Iowa fan.
Oh, for sure.
Like, that would be because.
And they show up.
Because you're right. They show up, and they're in it.
Right.
Like, that place was. When I watched Saturday night, I mean, Lil Jay and Jordan was like, Iowa football's like this? And I was like, I've always known that their defense was like this, but this is like the time, like we sat and watched and you're like, damn,
it's this bad.
They're this close and they still won't get out of his own. He won't get out of his own way, and he's right here.
I mean,
think if LSU had Iowa's defense, they'd be one of the best teams ever. Ever. Like, I mean, you'd be talking about like 2019. Forget those bums.
Like,
them
out here.
I mean, it's maddening.
I mean, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas have more receiving touchdowns than Iowa's whole team. They have 9 passing touchdowns this season.
That is
And
Unreal.
Only 10 rushing touchdowns.
How many games have they played? What's their record?
This is getting deep into the Iowa football. They just won a game 15-13 against Illinois.
I mean, that is so much LSU Les Miles PTSD that 15-13. Ugh.
That is just like.
I mean, I got the shakes.
That's pulling teeth. Let's see.
But in the same breath, like, I really do miss having a.
Oh, they're 9-2.
In 11 games, they've got 9 passing touchdowns.
Most they've scored this year is 41.
I mean, think how fast LSU got to 9 passing touchdowns.
2
It takes
weeks.
them like a week and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, he threw 6 this Saturday.
Yeah.
He'll throw
3 against.
He'll
A&M.
throw 3 in the first half. Would be the over/under.
Yeah. Damn.
I mean, he'll hit it in 6 quarters. They'll get to 9 touchdowns.
Yeah, man.
It's taken them 9 games.
A
It's taken them
season.
11 games to get to 9 touchdowns.
Dude, listen to these scores: 24-14, 20-13, 41-10, 31-0 to Penn State. They lost. 26-16, 24-14,
Ugh.
15-6, 12-10. They lost to Minnesota. 10-7 over Northwestern.
12-10. I mean, what?
22-0.
12-10.
15-13.
You hold a team to 12 points and get beat.
And lose.
I mean,
All you had to do is score a touchdown.
if I'm the captain of the defense, I'm fighting Brian Ferentz in the locker room. I mean, like, hey, coach, I want you in the middle right now. I'm about to whoop your ass.
I'll take my pads off.
I mean, like,
I'll take my pads off.
I'm
It's
about to
cool.
whip your ass, coach. I mean, that is disgusting. That is disgusting, man. 12-10. Gross.
They're in the Big Ten championship.
Hell yeah. Every year. Like, that's the thing about it. Like, I mean, they're there every year.
That is wow. That's just so wild to me.
Stewie is back, which means Jude's Hot Chicken and Shrimp will be getting a +1 today over on Burbank, 3830. Burbank, go check out our friends over at judesbr.com. With the students heading out of town. If you want to stop in and see them, they're open daily 10:30 to 9:30.
Perfect.
Over at Jude's Hot Chicken and Shrimp. JudesBR.com is where you can find them online. They're all over social media. The Nashville spice sauce. Make sure you get lost in the sauce with our friends over at Jude's Hot Chicken and Shrimp, located on Burbank. Find them online at JudesBR.com. We'll be back and talk to Wilson Alexander here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We'll pick back up the LSU football discussion with the local beat writer Wilson Alexander here next on the show. Give us a like, share, follow, and subscription before we get out of here.
When you return in rare form, they all gonna be sick. You ever seen a living legend? Just know that I'm it. Slow grind like IT, just know that I'm it. Now I'm back up in my bag, I'm giving.
If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about 1 buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on.
Did you do it?
Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, Our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Head health is incredibly important for our student athletes. One of the best ways we're trying to address concussions is on the front end. We're trying to prevent these before they happen. And a big part of that is speaking to the athletes, letting them know what to expect. Okay, speaking to the parents, what to look out for, talking to the coaches so they know the vital importance. Some of the big things we're looking for with a concussion, which is, a traumatic brain injury, is one, was there a mechanism? Was there an injury that took place that could lead to this? Often a direct blow to the head, a head-to-head hit. If someone's showing signs of concussion, our first step is always to remove them from activity, get them to a place where there's less stimuli, where we can really just sit down and get a feel for the athlete, what they're feeling. We're looking for headache, we're looking for dizziness, any sign that coordination is off, that something's just not right. Get a good evaluation of them to understand what's going on. It's not worth the risk that may be there to kind of ignore it, because there are very serious consequences if we don't treat a concussion properly.
Don't let concerns about shifts in the market disrupt your long-term financial goals. Edward Jones financial advisor Daniel Newman can help. He'll work with you on an investment strategy for long-term results. Edward Jones can give you the tools and knowledge for a steady approach to hitting your financial targets. Get started today by calling Daniel Newman at 225-261-8262. 225-261-8262. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Bounce a bat like John Morant, you know that I'm lit. Making plays like Jack Bash, I'm never gonna sit. Had to be patient, so I waited for the situation. Now that I'm focused, I'ma take it with no hesitation.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by R&B Builders and live here on the Click Here Digital campus. You can find more information about Click Here Digital online at clickheredigital.com. Part of the team over here helping you with your digital marketing plan, setting your Google ads to your social media ads, helping you with your content, and really consulting you on digital marketing. Online, clickheredigital.com. If you want a direct contact, you can email me, Jordy at clickheredigital.com. All right, Wilson Alexander covers the LSU football team for The Advocate and NOLA.com. He's an award-winning journalist over there, and he's with us every Tuesday. We appreciate his time every week and welcome him back to the conversation here on this Tuesday morning. Wilson, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well, Jordy. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. All right, let's jump right into it. Obviously, LSU here, Texas A&M. Brian Kelly was asked this directly. Wilson, I wonder what your opinion is on it. Is this the best defense that this offense will face all season long with A&M coming in on Saturday? And if so, what's the challenge that this high-flying, scoring offense, record-setting offense faces against the Aggies?
It's the best defense up front that LSU has played. Texas A&M's got 90 tackles for loss, 45 sacks this season, both top three in the country in those categories. And that's the thing when Brian Kelly's been asked about the defense yesterday that he kind of kept bringing up with A&M was that defensive front. He's impressed by how versatile it is. And you can see why. I mean, they have guys who can move from basically nose guard out to defensive end. They're big, physical, a lot of NFL-type players there. You know, Ross Bjork, the Texas A&M athletic director, said during his press conference after they fired Jimbo Fisher that one of the reasons he moved Elijah Robinson, their defensive line coach, to the interim role was because he had been at practice one day and an NFL scout was telling him how he was fixated on Texas A&M's defensive line and the way it had been coached. So that's going to be a really tough test for LSU's offensive line, a group that's been great this season. But LSU is going to need to be able to run the football and establish the run to keep this thing, balanced and not let Texas A&M just be able to tee off, because when they have been able to do that, they've been really successful. This is a defensive front that can really get after the quarterback. And honestly, it's kind of a great challenge for Jaden Daniels in this last Heisman test, in order to try to assert his case if he can go and continue to do what he's been doing against the defense like this, then it's all the more reason to give him the award.
Speaking of awards, we've seen Marvin Harrison Jr.'s name start to pop up here in the Heisman discussion and get a real big push from around the country. Wilson, at what point do people start to recognize what Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas are doing? I know that they're two finalists for the Biletnikoff Award, which goes to the top wide receiver, but it feels like mentioning Harrison is almost kind of leaving out the most, it's kind of like the elephant in the room. You're like, well, I mean, like the guy down at LSU has a lot more yards. I mean, why aren't you talking about him?
Yeah, no, it's kind of Marvin Harrison is an extremely talented player,
Sure.
obviously. I mean,
Sure.
you see some of the things he's done this year, and he's fantastic. But if you want to look at production, then Malik should be the one who's being talked about in that way. I mean, and he's extremely talented too. So it is kind of bizarre to me that you would say, oh, Marvin Harrison needs to be going to the Heisman, and he might not even win the Biletnikoff. Like, Malik could very well win that award and is extremely deserving of it. I mean, it's interesting hearing Brian Kelly yesterday, sort of saying that part out loud, because you don't usually hear it from coaches. But he was a little bit not as quite emphatic about it on his in his press conference, but on his radio show later, he was like, you can't give it to Marvin Harrison when he has 3 games to less than 50 yards receiving. And that's just a coach, of course, stumping for his players and all of that. But it's just, I mean, he's got a point, and I think everybody else does too, that, if you are going to talk about Marvin Harrison in that way, then you should at least be talking about Malik in that way. I don't know about Brian as like a Heisman candidate, but like Malik has got those incredible numbers, and not to discredit Brian by any means, just that Malik has been the one who's, he's got over 1,200 yards, and he's just been so fantastic all year, and kind of the one of that pair who would maybe be in that conversation. But yeah, no, definitely. If you were going to consider Marvin Harrison, then you should probably consider Malik Neighbors too. And really, honestly, neither of them are probably Heisman candidates this season, but both of them definitely have a case for the Biletnikoff, and Marvin shouldn't be a shoo-in. Malik should be getting a lot of consideration for that.
Brian Kelly mentioned it yesterday, kind of going into recruiting mode here with the current roster, going into retention mode. What do you see as some of the high-level decisions, conversations that he'll be having over the next couple of days? Because this will start pretty fast, right? I mean, once this game goes final on Saturday, I think LSU is going to be in a flurry of news in changes, transfer portal, coaches. I mean, you're going to be a very busy dude next week, Wilson, I feel.
Yes, I think so too, because you'll have the transfer portal opening up here pretty soon. There will certainly be a lot of movement in that, both with guys leaving, because I'm not saying like, oh, so and so is leaving for sure, but like that's the way the transfer portal is. And not only in that way, but also you're going to have a ton of people who LSU's going after. I mean, Brian Kelly mentioned it yesterday. They're going to, quote, move aggressively on defensive tackles, and they really have to, especially with Jordan Jefferson. This is his last year. He's exhausted his eligibility. Mekhi Wingo could be leaving. And while Mason Smith and even Jacobian Guillory could come back, they need defensive tackles and need to build that room in a big way. And so, that position and cornerback potentially, and, do they maybe try to go after linebackers and edge rushers and all sorts of things like they need to be looking at and evaluating. Not only that, but, potential coaching staff changes that are coming here soon. So it's, going to be an extremely busy week for sure over the next few weeks as all of that begins to open up. Because there's a lot for Brian Kelly and for LSU to do in order to build this program and continue moving forward.
Wilson, you're as plugged in as anybody on the beat, and it seems like you have broken a lot of the stories around LSU football when they happen. Did you, or were you aware of any foot injury to Whit Weeks over the last couple of weeks?
I was not aware of a foot injury to Whit. There was some rumors of maybe an off-the-field thing that had happened, and maybe that was part of the reason that his playing time had dipped so much after Omar Speights came back. That's not been confirmed or anything, but there's the foot injury maybe explains why he did not play at all against Florida and against Georgia State. And obviously, we're not always aware of all these little injuries that happen, but it doesn't explain really why his playing time dipped the way it did so dramatically between basically the Auburn game and the Bama game. It does maybe explain why he wouldn't have played, against Georgia State and even against Florida, depending on the timeline of when it all happened. So, what's going to be interesting now is just to see how much he does play against Texas A&M, because Brian Kelly said that the reason he didn't play him against Georgia State was to make sure that those stitches didn't pop and that Whit was available against A&M and healthy, because he said that they're going to need him. So this is going to be really, I think, fascinating to see exactly how much he gets on the field, because he has been a difference maker when he's been out there. he's not a freshman anymore at the end of now that he's played in so many games and he's been around this for an entire season. So he makes a difference when he's out there just simply because of his speed. LSU does not have a lot of great speed on defense, and Whit does, and so it's going to be interesting to see how much he plays against A&M.
And he's a for sure tackler. I mean, if he gets his hands on you, you're going to the ground. I mean, that's something that LSU needs at a premium. What have you made of the young DBs and seeing them in extended action over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, they've been okay. I mean, maybe there's something to build on with those guys. It's hard to, really say anything definitively. I mean, like Georgia State, wasn't like a fantastic test. And obviously, they got beat a little bit early on some contested catches. But then once LSU started playing a little bit more press, they showed up. I like with Toviano, he's got an attitude to him that you kind of like. And that's something that is been nice to see on a defense that hasn't shown a lot of bite this year. He has that in spades. And so, that's been good. Stamps has made a few plays here and there. They both are going to need a lot of time to develop, and over the offseason, it's going to be crucial, especially depending on what LSU kind of does in the formation of that cornerback room. And if it goes out and gets, some experienced guys or not, like those guys are going to have to continue to get better. So they've been all right. They've been solid. They've made some freshman mistakes, but they also shown you some things that maybe LSU can continue to build on with them and turn them into really reliable players.
Wilson, can you put into perspective what you've seen from Jaden Daniels this season? I mean, you've been covering college football now for a while, and now it feels like you've got nearly the full body of work of a Heisman Trophy front-running candidate here. What have we witnessed?
We've witnessed, just greatness, honestly. I mean, he's been fantastic. The way that he has developed as a downfield passer in particular has been phenomenal because he's, pushing the ball downfield. To see something that he was knocked for so much last year, and all offseason was like, okay, Jaden's got to get better at this aspect. To see him go and do that and actually be able to put in the work to have that transformation is amazing. His work ethic is really admirable. The way that he gets up at 5 a.m. every single day during the week to get in at 5:30 for his study. Brian Kelly mentioned a story yesterday about how they have the daily wellness questionnaires they have to fill out, and Jaden had his finished at 5:07 a.m. yesterday. That he's very showing a lot of commitment to wanting to be great at this sport, and he has been. Because he's just done everything that LSU needs him to do. He takes over games in a way that you don't see very often. And even if people want to be like, oh well, they're playing Georgia State, you still have to go and do that against a team that has had a pretty successful season and score 8 straight times. And like he's the engine, the catalyst. He is everything that you want in a quarterback, everything that you would want in a Heisman winner. It's been phenomenal to watch every single week of this season because he knows exactly what he wants to do with the football, and he's able to execute it.
Wilson, the heavyweight fight this week, the marquee names on the card, right, is LSU's offensive line versus A&M's defensive line. That's the matchup of the game, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because if LSU can control things up front, then it's got a great chance to win. That's pretty much every single game. But in this one in particular, because of like what we mentioned earlier with the A&M's defensive line, how versatile that is, how active they can be and disruptive they can be up front. If LSU's offensive line is able to give Jaden Daniels time to work through his reads the way he's been able to, throw the ball downfield the way he's been able to, then LSU should be able to continue to score just fine. A&M's been susceptible at times. It gave up 40-plus to Miami, gave up about, 38 to Ole Miss. But most of the games, it's been an average of like 17.5 points a game against its other Power 5 opponents, which are all SEC opponents. And so, this has been a tough defense to score against. But if LSU can win up front and control that defensive line and, decrease the number of negative plays that it's been able to create all season, then it's going to have a great chance to win because it'll allow Jaden Daniels to continue to do what he's done. It's amazing over the last 2 weeks, Jaden hasn't been sacked and, he hasn't played like fantastic defenses, but that's been a big reason why LSU's been as explosive as he's been in particular over the last 2 weeks. And so, if that can continue, then they've got a great chance to win on Saturday and close the regular season out with 9 wins.
Looking forward to the haircut that Rabelais walks into the office with this morning. He nearly got caught in some crossfire last night between Mulkey and Gilbo. He was the one with the microphone in his hand. Were you in the room last night, Wilson?
No, but I know what you're talking about with the Angel Reese question. Yeah, no, I wasn't there because I was at the radio show last night.
Rabelais the whole time. Wasn't me. I wasn't there. It was great back and forth. Wilson, good to have you back, man. We'll see you Saturday in Death Valley and talk to you next Tuesday. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
There he is, Wilson Alexander, the award winner from The Advocate and NOLA.com, covering LSU, referring last night to the Kim Mulkey press conference where her and Gilbo going back and forth, but Rabelais was the one asking the question when Mulkey cut him off and said, polled the room, who here's been here all season? Who here's been here for the first time? And Gilbo raises his, oh yeah, Glenn? Not enough controversy for you to start. And Rabelais is like, well, to be fair, he's national and I'm local. And she, oh, no, he's local too. He's local too. It's a great back and forth. We'll pull that for you. All right, we got to get right to Josh Pate. Do you have his phone number? He's a phone call. If you want to give him a phone call and get him lined up, just let me know when you got him because we'll jump right into Josh Pate here, who does phenomenal work in covering college football. Obviously, if you listen to this show, you're probably pretty familiar with his work and what he does with his live show every week that he has. In fact, he's got his live show on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock Central that you can catch with Late Kick Josh. He's a great friend of our show. He goes live every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night on YouTube at 7 o'clock Central Time that you can catch. He's a great follow on social media at Late Kick Josh, and he's usually every weekend at the biggest college football game every single Saturday. He's a great resource for us to tap into and good to catch back up with him. Happy Thanksgiving, my friend. Good to talk to you, Josh, this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's good to be back. You know how they say, Jordy, it never rains in Tiger Stadium? You've heard that, right?
I have.
Okay. Well, I can assure you it does rain in Reese Stadium up in Corvallis, Oregon. It was the most miserable, like, in-game feel and experience that I've had. Great environment and all that, but 41 and rain to me is worse than like 28 and snow. I would just rather take the snow at that point. That place was I couldn't feel my fingers. I'm impressed that Michael Penix was able to like make throws in that environment. It always impresses me when quarterbacks can operate in that environment. But how are we doing, man? How's the Thanksgiving week going?
On television, it looked absolutely miserable. Like looking at that game on television, I was like, that is the last place on the planet I'd rather be right now. I mean, it was sideways, windy, raining in that one. Where are you at this week? You going to the big house this week?
I'll be up there.
Yeah. Let's start there. What do you think about this one?
Oh, man. So many things. So I think that if you said this is like the most hyped version of that game ever, I wouldn't disagree with you. The rankings are there. The implications are there. Winner goes to the Big Ten. Winner may go to the playoff. Loser goes home. But think about that last part for a second. So in your mind and in everyone's mind, pretty much the whole year, you've had Michigan at least in your top four, if not in your top two. And every playoff projection you see, pretty much, it involves Michigan. And over the span of 4 quarters Saturday, you could go from that to all of a sudden no Michigan in the playoff, no Michigan even in the Big Ten title game, and all of their preseason goals are just done over the span of one afternoon. And on the other side, if Ohio State loses this game, that's 3 straight for Ryan Day. And if Ohio State loses this game, it's 3 straight for Ryan Day, and this time you didn't even have their head coach on the field. Mm-hmm. And you will have the weirdest, most backwards conversation that they will think is totally logical, and that is, do we need to move on from Ryan Day, even though he's winning like every other game they play? And the point is, all of that happens over 60 minutes on Saturday. Like programs will be changed this Saturday, one way or the other, just based on that result. It's so crazy. Like, you don't ever get that in the NFL. You can only get that in college football.
How wild is the Harbaugh story? How wild is this story from Michigan's standpoint? Is this a big deal? I mean, call me crazy. I'm just not paying that much of attention to it or giving it as much attention as it feels like it's getting nationally. Does it deserve it?
So it deserves it because, I mean, it's keeping a head coach off the field. Mm-hmm. I think if, the closer you get to those two programs, the more toxic it becomes. The best I can do to equate it would be anyone who was around, 13 years ago now, during the Cam Newton thing at Auburn and the lead up to that Iron Bowl. It was different because Bama was out of the national title conversation by that point, but it was so toxic. Like, everybody was convinced Auburn was going to get hammered by the NCAA. Auburn was convinced, nope, we're clean. And then they started to rally around their program and get really defensive. And then you have Bama get up 24-0 and give up the lead somehow in Bryant-Denny Stadium. I was at that game. I've never felt a more toxic environment around a rivalry. And I remember, like, around the Auburn and Alabama fan bases, that was the whole world. Like, every waking moment was refreshing a message board or, checking out Sports Center or whatever, checking out your local talk radio to see what had come out that day. That's what it's like around Ohio State, Michigan, and the Big Ten right now. I think the rest of the country has kind of moved on from it because, as far as they're concerned, all right, well, the Big Ten handed out punishment. Michigan's agreed to it. Harbaugh's done for the regular season, and that's it. As far as they're concerned up there, it's just gotten started because that NCAA investigation continues. And Ohio State folks are convinced a lot more will come. There are several more hammers to drop. Will Harbaugh even be there when it does drop next year? So it's still going on, but I don't think, as far as like your perspective on the game, it's really going to impact anything Saturday.
Josh, LSU is hosting Texas A&M on Saturday. A huge story over the last couple of weeks has been the release of Jimbo Fisher from that program and opening up that spot. I agree with what you've been saying over the last couple of weeks. Texas A&M is an elite job. It's a big-time job. What's some of the names that you're hearing on this job, and how fast do you expect it to be filled?
I think they'll fill that thing in the next couple of weeks. I think it would align pretty closely with Conference Championship week. I don't know like an exact date or anything like that, but that's how it feels. I am very fascinated at some of the names. Like, some of them you're hearing, you are told and then told, keep that under lock and key, keep your mouth shut. And their names just totally out of left field. Like, names you would think are totally secure in their spot. And in reality, they're in play because A&M is such a big job. But some of the other ones that are public, like the guys on the West Coast, DeBoer, you guys like that, I think are in play. Look, there are some folks. I talked to one this past weekend that was with A&M that said, we think Elijah Robinson should get an honest look. Players love him. Like, he's handled the transition really well. I don't know how serious or how much traction that would have, but there are a lot of different angles here, the trailer angle. So I'm very interested at whether they choose to go and spend every dime they have just because they can, or whether they zero in on their candidate. And maybe if it's a guy who's the 7th most expensive, they say, well, so be it. Just because we have all this money doesn't mean we have to spend it. We've done that before to diminishing returns. Let's go get the right guy regardless of how much it costs. And in the real world, if you find a value and it doesn't break your bank, that's a good thing for a normal person. Football programs don't tend to think like that, just like the government. They don't tend to think like that. Let's spend whatever we can and who cares. There is a more pragmatic approach to take here, and maybe A&M takes that this time. But if you do get one of those grand slam, like over-the-moon candidates, I don't think that they're going to skimp on spending if that's what it takes to get a guy like that.
Right, which makes everybody in play, right, Josh? Like, everybody's paying attention to this job. Everybody is interested in it.
Even the guys who would not leave their program, like a Nick Saban. They're not going to get Nick Saban, but even Nick Saban and guys of that ilk are very much paying attention to it. Yes, because it's a keystone. I call it a keystone opening. LSU was the same way a couple of years ago. When the LSU job is open, everyone's paying attention because they know whatever happens, it's not a drip in the ocean. It's like a cannonball in a bathtub. It impacts everything around it. You will not escape the wake that is given off when LSU, or in this case, Texas A&M, makes a hire. So, yes, I also think the other thing, as I've been arguing with these, whatever you want to call them, on the internet that say that's not an elite job, every coach knows it's an elite job. Everybody of sound mind knows it's an elite job. They talk about A&M the way Bryant used to talk about Florida in the 70s. Like, all the big coaches were terrified if Florida ever got it figured out and hired the right guy. To an extent, that's how coaches felt about Georgia before Kirby. And then Georgia finally figured it out, and you see what happened. The LSU, before Nick Saban, people looked at LSU, or should have the same way. A&M is that. They've just not hired their guy. And if they do, very quickly, people who doubt the qualifications or ability of that program would disappear because they'd win immediately with the right guy. But even if you have all the resources, finding that right guy is still kind of a crapshoot, as history has taught us.
You also have great resources and relationships at LSU, and in following your threads and what's going on at LSU, it seems like you're very well connected here. LSU has fielded the best offense in college football. They have fielded the worst defense in college football. How fast do you expect Brian Kelly to act on that and try and make that as good as his offense?
They've been working on it all season. They knew. He should have known going into the season. His defensive staff was not good enough. I said it in preseason. I think I may have come on your show and said it. I know I said it on mine a couple of times. There were people in the industry who knew there was a self-imposed ceiling on LSU that was below championship level because their defensive staff just wasn't good enough. It's not a tear the program down. It's a let's reassess the defensive side of the ball thing. And once they do that, and they will, I think they will make big moves. And I think Brian Kelly knows exactly. He probably has a list of who he wants to go get. And anybody on that list will be an upgrade, I would assume. And I think they'll get that figured out. There is no way that he's ever going to let what happened this year happen again. And that is, we're tearing it up offensively. I mean, think about historically, Jordy. If I just tell you nothing more in summer than LSU is going to have the best quarterback in the country, you automatically think national title. Absolutely. Because you automatically think, well, it's LSU. Certainly they'll be good enough defensively. Yeah. And to have that not be the case this year is inexcusable. And I don't think he'll let it happen again. So I think it will be priority 1, 2, 3, and 4 to make the necessary changes defensively.
For LSU to be averaging nearly 40 points on offense and have 3 losses feels like a college football felony. I mean, it feels like like that just doesn't how does that happen, especially being around here?
46 points a game.
Georgia over the last couple of weeks, Josh, has flexed and looks like, in a world that we were asking a few weeks ago, I don't know where the best team is. Who is the best team? Where is the best team? Georgia seems like they are the best team. Are you buying in on that?
I would not argue against it. I think the game in Atlanta is going to be a knockdown, drag-out war in a couple of weeks. I think Alabama matches up very well with them. They match up very well with Alabama. What I wonder is, so think about our tour here. We're about to go see Ohio State, Michigan Saturday. We will very likely be in Atlanta for Alabama, Georgia. Mm-hmm. It could end up that you're watching the real playoff play out there. Those could be the 4 best teams in the country. Now, that's not a slight on an Oregon or a Washington or anything like that. Texas, they'll have a lot to say about that. But there have been years like that in the past where when you look back on conference title Saturday, you say, I didn't know it at the time, but that was the national title game. And so I'm thinking that way right now. Like Georgia, Kirby Smart knows how to peak, just like Saban does. Dabo's best teams, they knew how to do that. And that's what Georgia's doing. It's also crazy. Think about how we were talking about Brock Bowers when he got hurt. And initially it was, is his season over? Mm-hmm. And then it was, will he come back? And he would quickly downplay that, and he came back. But the third thing was, can they get him back by the SEC championship game? And now we get to the SEC championship game. We're not even there yet, actually. We're just in rivalry week. It feels like he's been back forever. Yeah. He's already been back 2 weeks. So I know he's human. I'm sure if I cut his arm, he'd bleed. I don't think he's made of the stuff we're made of. I think he's a little bit different.
I agree. Last one, Pate, I'll get you out of here. Appreciate your time as always. Great to catch up. Give me some perspective on Jaden Daniels. What are we seeing? We're in the forest here, obviously, and we can't get out of it and think he's the best ever. How good is he? What are we witnessing this season?
It is one of the best stories in college football, and I'll tell you why. So this time last year, you had gotten a full season sample size, and he had been a pretty good player. That's how I'd categorize him last year, a pretty good player. And then he goes into winter, and he listens. He gets feedback from his coaching staff. You get feedback from the draft advisory board. Even if you're not going to the NFL, you can get that feedback. And he found out what he needed to improve. Okay, then at the same time, you had guys like Caleb Williams coming back. And the entire country is drunk on Caleb Williams. He wins the Heisman. He's coming back. Well, here's the thing. Caleb Williams got told, hey, if you would have gone to the draft, you could have been the first number 1 overall pick last year. It's too bad you couldn't go out. Well, you can go out next year and you're a slam dunk number 1. Well, Jaden Daniels didn't get told that. Jaden Daniels got told, hey, you need to improve this, this, and this, or you're not going to play on Sundays. And he did. He improved himself mightily. And that is so easy to say. But if anyone had an inkling of the kind of work and the kind of razor sharp bunker mentality focus it takes to improve yourself to the degree he has, and to have the proper coaching staff and structure around you, so it's a credit to LSU too, to improve the way he has, you don't overlook that, because it's much more common that you build a guy up in preview magazine season and he fails to live up to expectation. Daniels got built up and he's exceeded expectation. And I don't care if you're an LSU fan or a North Dakota State fan, that is a huge deal. And it's something that should be circled in red Sharpie and shown to anybody else who plays that position. This is how you handle yourself from the neck up, so that when Saturday comes, that's how you play.
He's going to win it, right?
I think, look, if I controlled this thing, he would win it. I wonder whether, people in the Heisman community care about all the wrong things, and sometimes they do. So I don't know. I think that's a crapshoot, but he is my winner, yes.
Great to talk to you, man. We'll be watching tonight, 7 o'clock Central Time on YouTube, and happy Thanksgiving.
You too, man. I appreciate you guys.
Always. There he is, Josh Pate, best in the business. Check him out at Late Kick Josh on social media. As we said, on YouTube tonight. He will be there at 7 o'clock. Remember, daily, we're brought to you by Hebert Specialty Meats, located here on Highland Road in Baton Rouge, and Robert's Grocery Store, and out in Geismar and Gonzales, right there off the Dutchtown exit. Stop in and pick up your turkeys and turduckens. We're up against about 48 hours here until Thanksgiving. So if you're doing this last minute, if you're crunching time here, if you have put off and you are looking to swing in and grab a good meal, whether it's a turducken or a deboned chicken that's stuffed with that great boudin from over at Hebert's, stop in and see them here in Baton Rouge, located off of Highland Road, in Robert's grocery store off of Highland, and then in Gonzales off the Dutchtown exit, you can find our friends over at Hebert's. Remember the gift card specials that they're running here for the holidays. For every 100 that you spend on a gift card, they'll give you a $25 gift card for free. So that's a great value if you're looking to give gifts for employees, give gifts for family. You got a big family and looking for great gift ideas. Check out Hebert's and remember their gift cards that their specials that they're running. We appreciate Josh Pate. We appreciate Wilson Alexander here in hour 2. Come back with us. We'll close it out here on this Tuesday. Jordy Culotta Show live from Click Here Digital.
It was Christmas Eve, Santa Claus was riding in his sleigh. He was packed with toys for the girls and boys, merrily on his way. When a Grinch riding on a reindeer, pulled right and so Santa Claus got Gordon, got it done.
Merry Christmas from Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and in every Louisiana house, all the creatures were stirring.
Santa's coming.
Even the mouse. The stockings were hung, the cookies were out. Santa was on his way to Louisiana, there was no doubt. So let's celebrate the season and start the new year off right. Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Okay, Gordon, ready to talk a little bit about yourself today? Okay, good. Tell us, who is Gordon McKernan?
Great question. In a lot of ways, I'm just like most people. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a son. I am a brother. I'm a Christian. I am a Tigers fan. I am a Louisiana sportsman. But above all, I am grateful to the people of Louisiana. We want to be your lawyers for life. Hi, I'm Gordon McKernan. Everyone has a special Christmas memory. One of mine is when I woke up on Christmas morning, ran down the stairs, and there it was, a brand new red bicycle.
That is why this Christmas, Gordon McKernan is giving away over 425 bicycles throughout the state of Louisiana.
To register, please fill out a form online at GordonGives.com or GetGordon.com. And make sure to visit the Get Gordon Facebook page for additional details and chances to win.
From all of us here at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, Merry Christmas and God bless.
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Hey, Chino. Cut my headphones up, bro. Yeah, right there.
All right, welcome back here, Jordy Culotta Show. As always, come in. Come in. As always, live here on this Tuesday morning as we get you set here for the Texas A&M week. As always, we appreciate our guest here on this Tuesday. Shout out to Wilson Alexander and Brooke Kirchhofer, who are our regulars on Tuesday, and then Josh Pate for stopping by. Tomorrow, we are going to talk to Jacques, as always, just like we do in our regular Wednesday spot. And we're also going to talk to Preston Guy, who is from Tiger Bait. Preston's been doing incredible work.
He's been
on
killing
social
people on
media.
Twitter.
I mean, my guy has been running a class on social media of people that are naysaying Jaden Daniels and really kind of shoving back just the facts in the face. I mean, like, really, I mean, social media is usually a pit of just poison and venom and just terrible. I mean, the gutter, the sewer of media. But shout out to my guy Preston, because he has stayed above it and just hit him in the face with the facts, where you're just like, never mind, I'll just kind of keep it moving. You know what I mean? Like, I was wrong. I was wrong. You've proven me wrong with all of your facts that you're providing. So we're gonna hit Preston Guy up tomorrow morning. He'll be here 7:30, and then Jacques will be here during the 8 o'clock hour, and that'll be us. That'll be it for us for the week. Here, obviously, we'll be taking off Thursday for Thanksgiving, and then we'll be out on Friday as well, just for the long weekend and the holiday. So, really and truly, hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving, enjoys this time with family, friends, and wherever you are. We appreciate you always being out there. I don't think that we can say that enough. Whether you're here and you don't enjoy the show, you enjoy the show, you come here for whatever reasons to get away, whether it's 7 and 9 that's live, or whether you find it on podcast, or whether you just go back to it on YouTube and find it. However you access the show, just know that the show is very grateful for you being out there. From all of us that are on the production staff here, to all of our sponsors who give our show the chance to get out to the public, to Click Here Digital for giving us this beautiful studio to come to you live from every single day. All of that we're very grateful for and very appreciative during this time of Thanksgiving. So hopefully everybody has a very healthy, happy Thanksgiving with your family and your friends, and you spend that. We'll be back with you on Monday morning and getting you set and running right up until Christmas. So we'll be off Thursday and Friday. So just make a note, and if you get here and we're not available, that's where we are. We'll be off Thursday for the holiday, and then we'll be off Friday, just taking the weekend and getting back to it on Monday. Really looking forward. Love this weekend as far as, just kind of the always. I mean, this growing up, this was the Arkansas LSU game was on Fridays when we were growing up. So like when even when we were, young kids to even in high school, I mean, this always became a great weekend. I mean, people, even in college, because people were back in town who had gone out for college, right? I mean, the game was on Friday. Whether it was home or away, it was always a good time. And then you kind of went into the college football weekend where it was, it was the rivalry matchups. It starts on Thanksgiving night. You got the Egg Bowl from Starkville, from Davis Wade Stadium, as Mississippi State will be hosting Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. You get other matchups this weekend.
And Iowa.
Nebraska and Iowa sounds like it's going to be watching grass grow and paint dry. But if you're into good defense and you want to see guys flying around defense, Iowa, I'm telling you, Iowa, it's like I was just sitting there. I mean, like Jordan, he was like, well, why didn't LSU recruit that guy? And I'm like, it's a solid question. I doubt you go into Iowa and steal kids. Like, what I mean? Like, I mean, it sounds like that they're all from like, Iowa City. I mean,
I'm just going to go to Iowa, Dad.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's from Des Moines. This guy, I mean, so it's like, I don't know how many LSU coaches are evaluating Iowa high school football, but it does seem like to think like, I mean, if you had 7 of those guys on LSU's team, you might be a top 60 defense in the country and you could be playing for a national championship with this offense, right? I mean, like this offense feels Super Bowl worthy. Forget national championship worthy. But, I mean, I will say that I did take a bite off of the Iowa helping last week, and I'm not mad at it. I mean, I might go back to it and watch it a little bit. I mean, they've got zero offense, and I tell you, like they throw back offense like decades. I mean, it is like Les Miles, Cam Cameron. It's bad.
Like
it is
power zone.
Yes, it is elementary.
Crack sweep.
Wham. I mean, it's counter.
6
trap.
In the game.
You know what I mean? Just like, wow, this ain't working, coach. This ain't gonna work.
How many times did you say we're gonna throw it tonight, coach?
20.
Do
maybe.
I need my gloves?
I mean, to be a wide receiver, I mean, we could go play wide receiver at Iowa.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, Iowa.
It doesn't matter who you put out there. You can put a kid out there. It doesn't matter.
Iowa had the kid that threw against LSU this year, baseball.
Didn't they put DeJean back there? Didn't they put the
he was the punt returner.
I mean, he was everything. Play tailback, dude.
Yeah, look, come over here. We got you. Get us a touchdown. UTSA Tulane's a sneaky good game.
Sneaky good game. I mean, that guy at UTSA, I don't know. I don't know if he's kind of like the one that they're dangling out there, the coach for A&M. I mean, have you seen his story? Texas San Antonio's coach, is it Jet Traylor?
Wasn't he like a high school?
He was a high school legend. I mean, like he's got a ton of state titles. He's gone to UTSA and put together 3 solid seasons. Again, and has done it by recruiting Texas and Jeff Traylor. That's what's so attractive to the people around A&M. His name keeps popping up because he's having a lot of success in the state of Texas. And I think one thing that feels like it is, just talking to some Texas A&M people that, they feel like they've gotten away from a little bit is, being able to win in certain areas of Texas. Texas is highly competitive. I mean, Texas is in there, TCU is in there, Texas Tech is over there. You've got Texas A&M. LSU's got a huge presence in, like the Houston area, the Dallas area, schools like that. Alabama's gone in there. I mean, it's a feeding ground. I mean, Oklahoma goes into Texas. It's a huge state, but A&M is looking for someone that, can relate to the state, and Traylor's name always comes up. In fact, if you kind of go back on the history of successful Art Briles, I know his name is, it's kind of like, I mean, he's like Satan now, I mean, for what he did at Baylor, but I mean,
his name lives on.
You can't argue his success, right? And that was his background. Art Briles was a Texas high school coach that went on to coach Baylor and, kind of didn't change what he was doing and brought players in and was having success. Now, look, man, what was happening off the field was horrendous, and he deserved all of what happened. But, I think there is, Willie Fritz too. I mean, Willie Fritz is another name that I think, you'll see popping up in some open jobs. So it's a great weekend of college football, rivalry weekend, LSU A&M. It'll be a good backdrop at 11 a.m. Obviously, that Michigan-Ohio State game is going to take precedent on Saturday because it is a de facto playoff game. I mean, really. I mean, it is a playoff game, and that's, what we talked about with these new scheduling formats, expansion. That's what college football wants. They want that type of matchup nearly every single week, and they'll have it this week as number 2 Ohio State travels into the Big House to play Michigan on Saturday. That's an 11 a.m. kickoff, too. They'll be competing with LSU and A&M, so you'll have to multi-view that thing.
Florida State might be in trouble.
Florida State?
They go to Florida this
weekend.
weekend.
They go to Florida. This is a good spot for Billy Napier if he wants to save any type of ground that he has lost this year. This would be a good spot. And look, we didn't ask Pate this, and I wish I would have. Florida State, if they went out,
they got to be in the playoff.
They got to be in the playoff. They got to be in the playoff. I mean, for as much as they're going to lose the cachet of their starting quarterback and the interest and people talking about them, and it's fair, but you can't penalize the rest of the team if they take care of the next 2 weeks of business. If they win against Florida on Saturday and they win the ACC title game against Louisville, they need to be in the playoff, and they should be in the playoff. And
it is what it is.
This will be, people will be watching for sure. All right, have a great day. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you have not before you get out of here. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.
Hey, Chino, put my headphones up, bro. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next? Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta.